Welcome to the Soul Star Podcast with your spiritual besties, Allie and Mandy. We're here to make your spiritual journey fun, relatable, and inspiring. So let's raise your vibe and ignite your soul together.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining us for another week of the Soul Star Podcast. We are very grateful that you're here. We've been doing a a series? Yeah, we started a series last week on the Clairs, the different ways that you can receive your intuition. And last week we talked about clairvoyance, the celebrity of being a psychic. So everybody's like, I'm not psychic if I can't see. So go listen to that episode if you haven't, because it is not the only way to receive psychic information. Today, we're going to talk about Clairsentience. But before we begin, Allison, do you have any stories? We did not talk about this previous to hitting record.
No, we didn't. I do kind of have a story. So, I was telling you how I went to get tea leaf card reading. What? Not
A
card
tea leaf
reading.
reading.
Tea leaf reading. Which obviously last year I went how many times? Because I had different people being like, I gotta go. And I just had that happen again because I was just telling my hairdresser about it, and she's like, oh my God, I want to go. Will you go with me? And I was like, we're starting this year off in the back. I'm like, oh, there's that psycho.
But they
again.
keep taking you back. They keep taking you back there. Maybe you need to buy it.
They do keep taking me back there. What the frig? But like I've experienced in the past is like the poor person who comes with me sometimes doesn't get the best reading because my energy can be really loud. And so I feel really bad about that. So in a way, kind of like what I found in the past is like they're reading that person. I do. It's like my energy hijacks, and I like literally try to remove myself as much as possible. And so like going up there this time with my two girlfriends, it was like, Allison, you need to bubble up because don't ruin this reading for us. And I'm like, I'm like, I don't know whether to go sit in the car when it happens. Like, I don't know. So I, when we were going up there, I kind of like did my energy cleanse and stuff and set the intentions and kind of put a bubble and was like, basically saying to spirit, dude, when it's not my turn, like, shut up. Yeah, shut up. And so we were like, okay, send Allison first. Cause I said, let me go first because like, I want my energy to be open for her to do a reading for me. And I don't want to close it off. And so I went first. And then when it moved on to my friend that was sitting across from me, I like went it. I was just staring at the table and I just had this like, had this wall of energy up. But I felt like I needed to hold it. Like I swear there was a few times where maybe I started to kind of relax with it to kind of be like, okay, we must be good. And then something would come through that I'd be like, that doesn't suit her, but that could suit me. And then I was like, what? And I'm like, wall back up. And then when she went to go read our other friend that was on the other side of me, so she would have been right across from the tea leaf reader. I was like, I got the message that I needed to put a wall up for me, my energy, and
your other friend.
Yeah, across. So in a sense, like creating a tunnel between. Literally, like I'm like look like a psychopath staring at the table, and I'm just like holding both like of these energy blocks. And because I also know that the friend that was left, like her energy can be very quiet, and so I was like, I'm like, okay, I need to like really make
expand it at the same time.
At the same time, not look like a psychopath, and I'm just like, I'd be like. Kind of like laugh and look down, like, okay, like just keep it. And the same thing happened again. There was I remember there was one point where I think I had like let go of concentration on it. And then I was like, that doesn't, and then I was like, damn it. Put these walls up.
That's so funny. Based on your story there, I know exactly what order everybody was read in.
God, I know, but it was really good, and it was like I was so happy. So they walked away with good readings,
Good.
which made me so happy. And it was better than the last time that they went. We all went together. So I was like, oh, thank goodness, not to feel guilt about ruining it. And so yeah, no, it was a good time. It's
Oh,
a
that's
great
good.
anybody that's on the island should definitely go check out Calico Cats in Nanaimo. It's a
Yeah.
tea house. And not just for, the tea leaf readings, but the food.
Yeah.
I love their, what are they called?
I don't know.
It's
Their
not a
quiche?
biscuit. It's not a crepe.
A quiche?
No, it's a dessert.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
I think
damn
we
it.
ate. I think you made
Damn
me
it.
try
I
it when we
did. It
went
was
last time, but
so
I can't
good.
remember.
Oh my goodness, Allison. I know Holly's now getting oh,
What
fuck.
does it look like?
I never remember those names. Usually it's like in a triangle and it kind of looks like a biscuit. And but it can be sweeter. Do you know what I mean? Like that consistency of a biscuit.
It's
But
not a croissant.
no, it's denser than that.
Yeah, I can picture it. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Okay, we scone.
It's a scone.
Scone.
Uh
Scone.
a scone. And their scones are I'm not a big scone person because I'm like, dude, you need to be sweeter than that. But their scones are like,
That's
so
good.
good. I know.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
Okay. We're going to talk about the second Clair today. Well, there's no like specific order, but we're going to talk about a second Clair today. And Clairs mean there's just different ways for you to receive your intuition, to receive psychic insight and guidance and messages, because we're all receiving messages and guidance from our higher selves, from our spirit guides, from our past loved ones. Every single one of us is receiving. We just have to learn how to hear it or how to receive it, how to understand it. So
Yeah.
Clairsentience is another really strong way to receive these messages. And Clairsentience comes from the French words clair and sentir, maybe they're French, which means to feel. So it's the ability to receive your intuition and your intuitive information through feelings. So both physical sensations and emotional impressions. And this could be anything from like tingles, like full body tingles or chills, little bits of tingles and chills, pressure, head pressure, like energetic pressure, to sensing somebody's like pain or somebody's joy, as if it's your own. And we've talked
Yeah.
about this in previous episodes, but that would be clairsentience. And I think it's pretty safe to say that any empath is clairsentient.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because an empath is that ability to walk into a room and to feel the energy or the feelings or whatever, or you get home from work and you walk in and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
Rumpasaurus in here.
Right? Or you go into like I don't know, conference room, and it's like, ooh, the tension, you could cut the tension with a knife in here. You know what I mean? Like you could cut the tension between like maybe a couple who's divorced and they are just not seeing eye to eye. You can sense that tension through your clairs, like your clairsentience. You can feel that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to talk about, how clairsentience has come in for us. Like I can remember probably my first experience when I was just not even an intuitive. I was just a little baby curious girl, like being like, what is all this stuff? And mine was the tingles on the top of the head.
Mhm.
And that was like the physical sensation of tingles. And it always came in when I was not, I guess, like above the line type of thing. Like, I think at that point, spirit was teaching me to be aware of my thoughts and to raise my frequency. So a big part of that is like, do we fall into some of these mind loops or negative thinking or whatever it is? And so for a period of time, anytime I start to kind of fall into that trap of like negative thinking or like all of us do it, like if
Mhm.
you're like ticked off at work or whatever, and I would get like these tingles on the top of my head and I was like, oh my God, okay, I get it. Okay. But it would snap me out of it. Like it would, make me rethink what I was thinking, and or even bringing my awareness to
Yeah.
it to
To
realize like,
what you were
yeah,
projecting, because wasn't
yep,
there a few times where you were like, well, not talking about somebody, but talking about a situation, and you were getting like, like heated, or you're frustrated,
oh
and
yeah.
then you would get those tingles, and you're like, oh, okay, I hear you.
You're
Fine.
like, "Fine, God, leave me alone." I'm like, I clearly remember one time I was sitting on the stairs putting on my running shoes, and I was upset in my head. So I was talking in my head. And I was thinking of somebody that really upset me, and just how their words were mean, and just like how they had treated me. And so like I was just in my head about that, and like, when you have those like conversations with yourself where you're like, man, I wish I could just say this. And even though I wouldn't, I like it's like you wish you could. And I remember like clearly getting the tingles, and I'm like, I know, okay. I'm like, but sometimes I'm mad.
Sometimes be angry.
Yeah, sometimes I just want to, have a fight in my head with somebody. Like, I'm harming nobody. And the thing is, it's not like spirit was saying, oh, you can't do that, right? Because, you and I've very much been like, it doesn't mean to raise your frequency to ascend that you have to be this like always happy, holier than thou, never saying a bad thing or thinking a bad thing. No, that's not it. At that period, it was more spirit's way of teaching me to be aware of what I was thinking. It wasn't like a reprimandum, like, there you go again. It was a recognition to catch myself, because it
Hmm.
can be such a habit when we
Hmm.
when we do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, I've always been very clairsentient. And I would say this is my strongest clair. And when you don't know about it, you look back on your life and you're like, oh, and I can think of so many instances where my clairsentience was super strong. Specifically about like how confused I was as a child on other people's motives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So not understanding like their words didn't match their energy. So they'd be like, no,
Mhm.
great, you're so wonderful, or whatever it was. But I could feel that like disingenuine, like you're lying. Do you know what I mean? But I
Mhm.
didn't realize, because nobody validated that for me. Nobody's gonna be like to a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old or whatever.
No.
I'm not gonna call up an adult out on their lie when they're telling me one thing, but I can feel their energy is actually not the same. So
No. And you
looking
don't
back,
understand it. Yeah.
yeah, and it was confusing, and so that made me grow up very cautious, and um just very cautious of people, and didn't feel safe really to like let people in, because I didn't trust,
Mhm.
because their actions were different than the energy was presenting. So either way, looking back, I can see how that all kind of molded who I became and who I
Yeah.
am. But
Yeah.
when I started down on this road of opening up my intuition, developing and understanding energy and all that sort of stuff, definitely the tingles were big for me too. And I used to get them on the top of my head as well. And I would get them anytime I was going to go do something um intuitive, or some sort of development, or something, like if I was going to go see a medium or a psychic or whatever. And it was just
Mhm.
like right at my crown and only on one side. And then also I remember being in like I remember doing a bit of development with somebody up island.
Yeah.
And the room, like it just felt like so much energy was like behind me. Like I would get like all this head pressure. And that
Mm.
happens when spirit's really close to me, which I know now. But at the time I didn't know, when spirit, like there's energy, a past loved one or spirit or energy or something looks really close to me.
Yeah.
Then I'll get like head pressure or whatever. But also both you and I will receive now like random tingles on different spots of our bodies, like on the leg, on the hip, on the arm. And it's just, we're
Full
just super,
body goosebumps,
yeah,
right? Like, how many times, like, we get that, and it's just like, whoosh. It's like spirit is just like, whoosh, giving you
yeah,
confirmation, like, "Yes." I'm like I always have to, like, rub my legs and stuff because I'm like, "Woo." It's like, it's a big one. It's a big
yeah,
yes.
yeah. So you'll know if you're clairsentient if that resonates with you, but there's other ways to tell if you're clairsentient as well. Like your vibes about people are very clairsentient. So just being able to trust the vibe you're getting off somebody, or the vibe you're getting off a situation, you're like, ooh, I don't know if this feels really good. Like And that's another thing, if you're constantly saying, I really feel, or this feels, or that feels, or
Yeah.
that
It feels like
yeah,
it feels like this is supposed to happen, and it feels like all of the like weird things we've joked about that where like people overheard our conversations and we're like, it feels like
but if
I know.
yeah, if you're constantly saying feels like, that's probably a pretty good indication that you're clairsentient.
hmm When your like mood shifts when somebody enters a room or like I think that's a big one where if you're in a good mood and you're kind of like "La, da, da," and then all of a sudden your partner gets home or your kids get home or something and you have a kind of a drastic mood switch out of nowhere, that's not you.
You're not
That's not
bipolar.
you. No, no. Most likely not. Not to be that fast, but it's like when something like that, where you're just kind of like now you're just in a miserable mood and you're just like, why am I so broody? And then you just take it on as yourself and it's realizing like taking a step back and going like, okay, wait a minute. I was totally fine. What really happened? That person happened.
Yeah.
You like
Or
change your route around.
I find that often actually where I'll be, because I work from home and then all of a sudden the house is busy and everybody's home and then my mood is like shifted completely and I'll be picking up on the mood or the junk that everybody just brought in the house. So that's a huge indication. Also, like Allie and I've talked about this before where when we were younger, before we understood energy and all that sort of stuff, we used to think that we did something wrong. So like
All the time.
yeah,
I
our husband,
still do.
are you mad at me? Are you okay? What's happening? And then,
And you think it's a you thing, like,
yeah,
so even if somebody's, like, maybe they are broody or maybe they are something, but you instantly, like I think that's part of also an inner child healing. On top of that,
probably.
I think there's a bit of connection there
Layers.
because there's layers. I'm like because really, why do we associate it with ourselves instantly? Like, "Are you okay? What's going on? Did I do something? Did I piss you off? Oh my god, what did I say?" I'd go back and be like, "What did I say?" Like, try to fight it out or, "Oh my god, did I just annoy them? Oh god, was it me? Oh, fuck, I do it all the time." So
Wait,
annoying.
you need to fix your camera.
Ah, dang it.
It's very blurry.
I like to be in the shadows.
I live in the shadows.
I live in the shadow.
I live in the
Like,
gray area.
don't look at me. Just soon I get passionate. Yeah, like, "Oh my god." I know, but it's, like, totally that like, that's a tough one.
Yeah, but I think even being able to recognize that it's not your mood, it's somebody else's mood, and then being able to say, "Oh, that's not even mine." And that part of that process of recognizing that is the process of releasing that, so you don't have to sit in their bad mood. But I
Mhm.
don't know. I think a lot of people are getting more and more clairsentient as the solar flares are hitting the earth and the earth is ascending and the frequency is raising. We're all naturally just raising our own frequency, and I feel like a lot of us are getting more sensitive through our
To others'
clairsentience. Yeah.
energies. Yeah, which is kind of a scary thing,
Yeah.
because if you don't understand it and you don't know how to kind of control it or, like, really control it in a sense, so, like, whether that's bubbling your energy to keep other, people out so you're not picking up on everything, it can be very confusing,
Yeah.
I guess, as a collective, as a society.
Yeah. Well, I think also your sensitivity as a clairsentient can show up as anxiety as well, because you're not
Mhm.
transmuting the energy of everything around you. So if you're going about your day, like let's just say you work in an office and the office is maybe a bit toxic or people are just broody or rude or like venting to you all the time. If you're the person they're all venting to and you're holding everybody's energy because you haven't learned how to transmute it yet, how to like release it, then you're
Mhm.
holding that and that will manifest into anxiety in your chest. Like that
Mhm.
will feel like over time it'll manifest as anxiety. In a lot of
Mhm.
cases. And sometimes I'm not saying all anxiety is clairsentience or
No,
the
yeah.
inability to transmute the energy that you're feeling, because there's definitely like I don't believe that
Well,
that's the case,
I
but
do wonder though how much there is a
I feel like there's a very strong
it's a very strong
connection.
yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah.
But I can't discredit people's anxiety because there's a lot
No.
of people who deal with a lot of anxiety, and There's other things that
Frig,
we
I'm
can
one
do.
of them. I'm like,
Yeah.
I had my first panic attack in high school and have
Mhm.
had many since then, right? A panic attack to me now that I look back is kind of like you're hitting a point of so much energy. You've taken on so much and it's like a burst
Yeah.
that you have to let out. And it's funny because clinically they talk about anxiety, like panic attacks, like because I visual, it helped me understand this. But it was like, of course, I'm not going to know what the hormone is. Let's just say it's serotonin,
Okay.
maybe. But they made it. They said it's like you need so much, and then it's kind of like they looked at it like a glass where it starts to bubble up, bubble up, bubble up, bubble up. And then when I have a panic attack, it's like basically over. There's too much, and it just starts to come out of the canister, the glass, and overwhelm. And so it's funny how they describe it that way, where if we think of energy and you're taking on everybody's, it gets so full that then it blows because it
Yeah.
needs to release because
Mhm.
there's nowhere else to go. And then that's your panic attack,
Right.
which is kind of crazy
Yeah.
in that sense. So I think
But
there is a
often,
correlation.
I'd say like often the people like the panic attacks and the anxiety will lead people to this type of work or to understand
Yeah.
because it's those life events or those challenging times in your life where you seek help, right?
Mm.
And if you're placed on this path, it's for a reason, as we know.
Yep.
And most
Yep.
likely that's part of the reason, I would
That
say.
it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's funny, I when we talk about, like, feeling the energy and more people are feeling it and kind of even that panicky feeling, I did a talk, 2 weeks ago? 3 yeah, 2 weeks ago, at, Women in Business, and, I was kind of like, it's they're maybe not into the woo, so I had to, like, adjust it so it was digestible.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the stories I was telling them was how, like, for example, driving into downtown Victoria and how there's a certain point where all of a sudden I was going downtown and I would feel like I was anxious about something. And I was like, why am I feeling anxious? I'm like, I don't have to, I'm not doing anything, like all these things. And then I realized it was, oh, it's not me, it's the energy of downtown. Well, one
Mm-hmm.
of the ladies came to me afterwards and was like, "I feel that too. I had no idea, but you're so right. Like, I feel that shift." And she's like, I live out, more in the country type of thing. And then she's like, yeah, at some point I feel it. So it was so cool to kind of have somebody be able to like connect that and be like,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah, it's so
I love
cool.
that. I
I
love that.
know.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the same for if anybody's going to go into like a big crowd. Cause I feel like a lot of us used to go into big crowds all the time. I mean, I did, concerts, you've got, um, I don't know, those festivals. People love festivals. People love concerts. People love going to Costco, like
I know.
like the mall. There's all these places where people go and there's huge crowds there. Well, I can hardly stand that anymore. And I don't like, I know that is for me because I'm just super sensitive now. Because as you develop your intuition and you learn more and you ascend and all that sort of stuff, when you're on this path, it just becomes more sensitive naturally. But I
Mhm.
also feel like, and see, did you say that? I also feel like, I did a little
I love
cast
it. Did you feel that?
it also feels like a lot of people are saying that too. Like I don't like to go into crowds anymore, or I feel anxious when I go to Costco, or I really don't want to go to that concert because there's going to be so many people, or whatever it is. Like even
Mhm.
just it's just becoming a thing that people say, and it's kind of escalated, I'd say, since COVID. Because in 2020 we were all stuck at home for so long, and then we all like reintroduced ourselves to the public or to like being outside
Yeah,
in the collective and being with other people,
and
and
it's
it was hard for
exhausting.
people's nervous systems to adjust, but part of that is everybody's clairsentience kinda came online around the same time.
Yeah, well, like, it's funny because, like, if we didn't learn this stuff, we wouldn't know to put a name to it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
mhm.
it would just be like, "Oh my god, I get so
It
exhausted,"
would
and
be named anxiety.
yep,
It
yep,
would be named
absolutely,
yeah, it would be named,
absolutely.
um, my nervous system is shot over,
Yeah,
like, burnout.
yeah, burnout, chronic fatigue
Mhm.
even because these things are just overwhelming your system.
Mhm.
I think of like as a mother, my one son, he's always kind of said like, oh, like how many people are coming over? Like, okay, like I hate like having so many people around and all that stuff. Well, now it's like, oh my God, it's not just I want to be antisocial. It's like, no, it overwhelms his system.
Mhm.
So now that I'm aware of this energy stuff and I can utilize this, I'm like, when we've gone to like the Blue Jays games, I've bubbled him knowing
Mhm.
he wants to go, but he also gets really drained. So like bubbling his energy so that I can protect him from that.
Yeah.
But even myself, like when I have a weekend filled, like I had like 15 people over Easter, um, there was a lot kind of going on. Like I find I get exhausted,
Mhm.
not from the doing, because but it's more of just like having so much coming at me,
Mhm.
type of thing, and it's just exhausting. And it's like you need to go and reboot in a sense,
Well,
right?
we call it decompressing in my house.
Yeah, right, but it's true. It's like I
Yeah.
feel like it drains your energy field, and you need time to kind of like pull that back in and
Mm.
fill that back up, whether you're aware of it or not, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so yeah, it's very interesting on how that kind of unfolds. Um, what else is there? I do want to talk about different ways like clairsentience, like as an intuitive in readings, how that comes through. Um, but anything else like for somebody to kind of be like, wait a minute, maybe I'm very clairsentience and empathic is both.
Well, if you're empathic, you're very clairsentient. That's just a
Yes,
given for sure.
absolutely. Absolutely. Like so obviously the feelings and like the feeling, but also the physical. So we kind of brushed on that. Like feeling things on the physical. One thing I remember was when we were connecting to like a mediumship.
Mhm.
I've felt this a few times where the spirits will touch me.
Spirit touches me.
And that is so weird, Allison. They're not being inappropriate, okay? But I've definitely had where spirits have like come. Like I clearly remember this one time. I was connecting to somebody's grandmother and I was calling the energy forward and it felt like the energy came in, but came in so fast and it felt like this press against my cheek. Like
Mhm.
not punching me, but it looks like it as I touch my cheek. But like I just felt this press in on the cheek, kind of like, "I'm right here," and I'm like, "Oh my god," and so I was like,
Back up.
Back away. You don't need to be right up in here," type of thing, but I remember and that was really, on point to that person's grandmother's personality to be like, right here, like, in your face," but it was so crazy of, like, how and it wasn't scary because like, I
Mm.
could see some people be like, "That'd be so freaky, like, don't touch me," and none of it's ever been scary because
No.
it's been so light,
Gentle.
like, gentle, even to the point, like, just like we talk about receiving your intuition, how it can be so soft that you could it's barely there. It's the
It's
same type
subtle.
of thing. Yeah, with the touching, it's so subtle that you're like, "Did I just make that up?" Like, it's such a weird thing, and I remember the other week, I connected, or I had somebody's past loved one come through, and, it was like tickles.
Mm.
Like, no, but I'm sitting here in meditation, I'm like,
I so funny you say that because there's definitely times where Cody's made me do that and I guide where he's like, I'm connecting with him and he'll do something funny or say something funny. And I'm like, I'll laugh out loud. And I'm like, oh my God, I just laughed out loud at my imaginary friends.
and I'm like psycho. Oh my gosh, where you're like, stop it. I know. I'm like, I think at one point I was like, okay. I'm like, you made your point. You came in right away. Now, and they'll be like, I know you're there. I know you are. Let's just like step away. Like, you can't sit here and just distract me the whole
Yeah.
time. Like,
So funny.
I know. I know. Oh, I like, no, I don't know if that is clairsentience.
What?
feeling my bed move. No,
No, that's just
that's just a spirit sitting
creepy.
there.
No, that's just creepy. I hate
That's
that.
just, I hate that. Feels like they're sitting at the end of the bed, and I'll be like, oh
Mhm.
my God. Or walking in the room when you can feel the room,
Yeah.
like somebody's in the room walking.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the clairsentience for the physical feeling is really just the tingles and
the tingles, yeah.
like the pressure, perhaps. Like you can feel
Mm.
the physical pressure on your body, like, or somebody I've felt somebody.
Warm or cold.
Yeah. Yes, hot and cold
Yep.
definitely is one. Usually I get hot sometimes when spirit's near, but also that head pressure I get if spirit
I
is
get
really
that
close.
tingle one. Remember that? Where
Mhm.
and I think that's more when, that was when like a galactic
Yeah.
being or
It's
high
different.
vibrational. Yeah.
The process is what, as you learn more about how to understand, like, that's part of the game in a sense, is like, okay,
Yeah.
Allie has a tell when it's a galactic being, and it's that, like, that frequency behind you.
Mhm,
I have a
mhm.
tell when it's like a past loved one or my spirit guide. I know when it's my spirit guide. I know when it's my past loved one. I know, or a past loved one. I know when it's something different. So, like, I know when
Yeah.
it's galactic, as well.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
you just get to know, it over time. The more you
Yeah,
practice and the more you
yeah.
receive. And
High
then
vibrational energy,
yeah,
I get, like, the flutters in the chest, like,
yeah.
anxiety when
Angels.
high vibrate yeah, angels, I get that kind of like, "Am I having a panic attack?" And I'm like, "No, no, I'm not." But again, that
Yeah.
was over time. Yeah,
Yeah, you learn that over time.
yeah.
Yeah, and then the emotional part of the being the clairsentience obviously is being able to easily connect to different emotions, or what you're doing is you're feeling different emotions that might not actually be yours, and you can have this overwhelm of like happiness and joy or pride. Like we've shared that story in the past where we were at like an event for our children, and we've experienced this. Both of us have experienced this differently or
Mhm.
separately, where everybody in the room was just so proud of their kid. And then we could just feel that overwhelm of pride where we just felt like we needed to cry. And, like
'Cause
I'm proud of my daughter, but I'm not like a cry proud of my daughter for
yeah.
her dance recital. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And I think
So,
the overwhelming of crying in that sense is because of how much so it's not even like everybody's wanting to cry in the room. It was
the
how
collective energy.
much everybody was so proud. It kind of, in a sense, even overwhelms
Mhm.
our bodies in a way to release or transmute all of that because like emotions carry like the frequency is a lot. Like it
Yeah.
your emotions will increase that
Yeah.
frequency and make it louder. So, like, just having that beautiful emotion of pride, but everybody doing it at the same time, then overwhelms somebody who is clairsentient. And in that sense of wanting to cry, it's kind of a way of us transmuting
Yeah.
that energy
Absolutely.
to just
Yeah.
like come through and out type of thing.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
even the anger. So you can, a lot of
Mhm.
people, so it's not, let me just back up a sec. I'm trying to say five things in one sentence. It's rare, rare for us to feel the good feelings typically
Mhm.
because most people walk around in a bad mood, focused on the negative, venting,
Mhm.
whatever, right? So when you're clair sentient and you're very empathic, it can be exhausting to exist in this world because you're trying to transmute, but you're not. You're holding on to all of this dense energy because as we know, anger, frustration, grief, jealousy, all those energies are lower frequency energies. And those are the energies that the majority of the people walk around feeling, right?
A lot. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So you might not be frustrated or angry or jealous or whatever. You might not actually be low frequency. You just might be holding everybody else's low frequencies. And so that is something that we have to be mindful of as you start to get to know your energy, because you're going to start to get to know yourself and what your actual base level energy is
Yeah.
as well. And one of the things that I recognized really easily, really quickly was when I was like, say, for example, talking to a client and they were getting really worked up, then I was getting really worked up,
Mhm.
right? Like my back would get up, or I would start to like feel their anger, it was like bubbling in their chest. And then it was like this hamster wheel of like their anger is filtering into me. And then I'm spewing it back to, not that I was being rude to a client, but like definitely with my children, like they're angry and then I'm angry and then they're angry. It's just like this nonstop wheel of
Mhm.
anger. But
Mhm.
would have to stop myself from being angry back to the client because that's not professional. That's not my brand, whatever it is. So then that was where I had the opportunity to recognize that their anger, I was feeling it because I had
Yeah.
no reason to be angry, but they were
Mhm.
angry. So I was feeling angry. Right. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm like, um, I had that like experience the other day when somebody was driving and I was in the passenger seat and it started to rain and I instantly could feel their anxiety
Mm.
of it. And I was like, "Woo," and I could just feel, like, all of a sudden me taking on this, like, "Oh my god," like, what if we're just, and then I'm like, "Oh my god, stop. This
Yeah.
isn't yours." But it was like, "Okay." And then, of course, in my head, I'm going, "Oh god, if they're feeling this much anxiety, should I just like, try to be." But then I'm like, "Dude, you're gonna feel anxiety too. You're gonna white knuckle it because 'cause you're not comfortable, but at least you have control." But, like, in those moments, like, I needed at that moment, then I started in on the energy work. I started bubbling the car. I started, calming myself down and then separating myself from the energy to get that, and then start working on to be, like, maybe calm their energy down to be like, "It's okay. We're okay," right? But before, I woulda just sat there and, like, white knuckled and been like, "Done.
Yeah.
Go over. I don't wanna do this anymore. I wanna do this." Um, one of the things, like, in readings, I've noticed, where clairsentience comes in to be able to read for other people and how that kind of shows up and, like, we're able to like, say you're being shown, like, an image, and, like, you talk about this often about, like, you'll see an image, but then you'll bring it into your heart,
Yeah.
and you'll feel what it feels like. So, I have definitely, more lately where, like, maybe I'm being shown an image and I'm like, "I have no idea what you are showing me. Like, I have no idea what this is. This doesn't mean anything to me." And I've gone in and stepped into that energy and been like, "Okay, then let me feel what it feels like to be in this energy." And, things would come back where it's either like, "Oh my god, it's so busy and crowded." I think it was somebody's, solar no, crown, and there was a lot of energy stuck in the crown because she absorbs other people, and so when I got in there, I was like, "Oh my god, there's no room." I'm like, "This is just overwhelming, I need to release it," but until I could go in, I couldn't understand what the image was that they were
Mhm.
showing me. So, like, that's,
Mhm.
like, tangibly how we use it in a reading.
Yeah.
Um, I have gotten very emotional a few times, where that's come out of nowhere, where all of a sudden I'm bawling my eyes out, and you're like, "Oh my god, get a hold of yourself." And I'm like, "Just let me go cry in my room." And I don't know what I'm crying about, but that was, like, realizing, like, "Oh god, this isn't my energy," and doing that exercise of, like, if this is not mine, I release it so that I don't have to feel it, but as an intuitive, it's like you want to feel it so you get the message, but then you're like, "Okay, well, now we can shut it down so I don't just, like, sit here and cry."
Yeah.
A blubbering mess, yeah. So,
Yeah. Because that's not productive.
professional. Oh my god, I would be a terrible medium. I'd be, like,
Yeah.
sitting there being like, "Oh, I'm connecting to your daughter." No, no.
Aw.
Can't
Well,
do that.
I think it's important, like in closing, like as we wrap it up, I think it's important that to understand that your sensitivity is not a weakness. Like so many of us who are
Yeah.
clairsentient or empathic have been told we're way too sensitive our whole lives. And maybe you have a daughter who's super sensitive or a son who's super sensitive, and you've said that to them.
Mhm.
Understanding that they're just actually really clairsentient and empathic. So having a bit of compassion for yourself or for others who might be super sensitive and just really understanding that it's just an overwhelming way to receive intuitive messages when you don't have the tools to protect your energy or to transmute that energy, to cleanse your energy, because those are things you can do as a clairsentient and an empath, is
Yeah.
cleanse your energy, protect your energy, and then learn how to transmute that energy by learning about your energy and how your energy is affected by others.
Mhm.
And those are all things that we teach in our courses and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
you can Google how to do that. But it's also, yeah, it's just you're just so deeply connected to the truths of others. And that's the truth of your own soul. So just to really, I don't know, just to receive that and just
Mm-hmm.
Just love
Mm-hmm.
that part of yourself, because for so long we've been told that it's a weakness, and it's really not. It's our power, like it's our power. It's our superpower.
It is, yeah. And
Mm.
it is. You're right. You've nailed it in the sense that we've been told it's a weakness or it's not acceptable or even that it makes people uncomfortable. And I think that's something that we need to start to reclaim and work
Mm.
back towards instead of stifling it and shutting it down. And yeah, like, I definitely know that I feel way more sensitive just in the sense of emotions, whether good or bad. I feel them kind of like overwhelmingly, and I can see why people or kids even will shut it down at some point just to exist in this world. But I'm like, like again, I think that's the tools, or even like when we can accept it and be like, okay, I'm just gonna like sit in this kind of roller coaster right now, and I'm gonna ride the wave and not try to like shut it down and turn it off for it to go another time. I don't know. I'm like, I'm still learning how to ride the wave. It's not always comfortable.
This whole existence in life is learning how to ride the wave
Oh my God.
without judgment. I think that's the trick, like to surrender and not
That's
judge.
true. Yeah,
Mm.
it is. It's a surrender into it. And when you can surrender, that means you're going with the wave instead of going against the
Yeah.
wave. And
Yeah.
that's a big difference.
Yeah. So that is Clairsentience. We will be back next week with another Claire. And we don't know which one yet, so just tune in. And
Listen up.
Yeah, listen. Come back. But yeah, if you like this episode, we would love for you to leave a comment or a review, or come join us on Instagram and send us a message if you have questions or comments or anything like that. We love interacting with our listeners, and we're just grateful for all of it. So anything to add, Allie?
No. Have a great week.
Yeah.
Peace to the streets.
And see you next time.
Bye.